All right. Let's get this out of the way first. The thoughts, views, and opinions expressed on Tailboard Talks Firefighter podcast are solely those of the speakers, guests, and host, and do not in any way represent the thoughts or views or opinions of any other employer, partnership, or sponsor. The material and information in this podcast is for general information purposes only and should be used at the listener's discretion.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show, Tailboard Talks Firefighter podcast, or in video now too. We're doing video. Got my wireless mic clipped on here because we're in the garage today for a special episode of, now there's this thing I thought of a while ago. Joe Galli thought of it too, called Squat Ones. It's clear copyright infringement, but it might be a good idea of like, hey, let's have someone in here and do some heavy squats or do something that makes them really out of breath and then ask them questions. And today, or I should say like a couple days ago, or over the past couple days, if you saw on Instagram, I'm in a pretty healthy phase of self-loathing right now because I'm going to turn 40 in March, and I'm fatter than I've ever been. And I already got a comment or two of like, yeah, right, dude, you're not fat. I wish I could be as fat as you. And I was like, I'm not fat, but I'm fatter. Like, I'm fatter than I've ever been. And it bugs me. So I wanted to try something different today, and it was like, well, why don't I try this Squat Ones thing, and then I'll be able to work out, because I realized like I've gained weight in the past year probably, and I had a few factors that played into that. Surprisingly, one of them was getting on a blood pressure medication, I think, because basically I wasn't just on ephedra all the time with like a resting heart rate of 70 or 80 or 90. And so when my heart rate went down, everything kind of slowed down. I wasn't like constantly jogging a marathon. So I think that kind of stopped a lot of things, kind of slowed down a lot of things. But also, I kept doing all the stuff I was doing like 10 years ago, but I added some more bad habits. I was drinking more, not like a ton, but instead of having to drink like, I don't know, like on the weekends or on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday or something like that, I was having a drink a night at least when I was not working, because we're just hanging out and we're tired and the kids are maniacs, and so we'd have a drink at night. And then I'm like, well, it's only 8 o'clock and they're in bed, so I'll have another one. And then it started moving back of like, hey, 5 o'clock, let's have a drink. So I ended up having like 3 or 4 drinks in one night, spread over like 4 or 5 hours, but still the overall consumption went way up. I've always eaten a lot, but now I'm eating a lot and I'm snacking more. So I just made a bunch of bad decisions, right? I stopped doing the things that I had been doing for like 20 years to keep myself in the shape I was in, which was like lifting heavy, sprinting, explosive movements, playing hockey, all that stuff. I got more into like the endurance side of it this past year, doing like the gravel races. And then I did a lot of workouts that were just like, well, I'm tired and I'm stressed, so I'm just going to go ride the bike for an hour. Or like, I'm just going to go out in the garage and stretch and do like some moderate weight stuff for 20 minutes, like an every minute kind of thing or whatever. So I got away from it. I haven't lifted heavy, where I was like straining like 7 out of 10 in like over a year probably. So it's time to get back to that. And this is a perfect opportunity to do that. So I'm warming up now, just kind of putzing around doing a couple stretches. I'm going to cut it here, and I'm going to come back with like my first working set. What I'm going to do is 6 deadlifts, and if I'm feeling froggy, I might just up that to 8. And then I'm going to step away from the trap bar, and I'm going to do 10 squat jumps. And then I'm going to do 10 push-ups, and then I have an active recovery of a down stretch, basically, and that's where I'm going to answer a question. I got 4 or 5 questions lined up, so I looked at them briefly just to see what they were, but I haven't really thought about them. I've been very distracted today. Big electrical problem in the house. Now, I'm not going on a little tangent here. Big electrical problem in the house. I'll keep stretching while I'm doing it. They converted the back door of this house to a shower. So, like, there's a stoop out back. There's a cement pad where the back door should be. And then there's just siding. And on the inside, there's a shower there. Well, it's next to a bathroom. So there's like when you come in the back door of a house, there's a bathroom sometimes right next to that rear entrance. That's still there. They put a fan light combo. Now listen, I'm sorry if this is getting into the details, but it's going to make sense in a second. A fan light combo in the hallway, where the hallway used to be, but now it's a shower. Today, I went to go switch the wall switch there, because we're having people over on Thanksgiving. Been doing a bunch of construction inside. Just finished a major project, and I'm like, I'll just switch out the switch real quick and it'll look good. I went to go put the switch back in the box, cramming all the wires in, and the light in the hallway turned off. That's not they're not related. That's not supposed to happen, and it's not good. I pulled it back out. The light came on. I put the wires back in. The light came off. So I had a problem. After several phone calls and a guy that came over and said, I don't know, but I got to tear apart your wall and I can't do that till tomorrow. Katie got home and said, tear that wall down. We opened up a hole in the wall. So in that hallway, there was a switch that would take care of the overhead light. Instead of doing it the right way, what they did was they just shoved that switch inside of the box and tiled over it in the on position. And then they went to the other side and fed the wires through and put another switch in. So when you move now the wires to push in the box, it pushed the other switch in the off position. It was a mess. So I tore open my shower. I'll put a picture on Instagram. Tore open the wall of a shower that we don't use and found a switch sitting in there. So now I'm waiting for the guy to come back and wire it correctly because I don't know how to do that. I can do a lot of things. I'm willing to do a lot of things, but rewiring switches with 5 different colors of wire going into it is not something I'm going to attempt. I can't remember why I told you that story. I can't remember it all. I think it's just because I'm doing stuff. I don't know. Rewind back and figure out why I told you that story. But let's see. All right, welcome back. I'm gonna pause this.
I can't see the camera.
Do my warm-up sets. All right, so here's what we're doing.
Talk to you. Come back.
Oh, that's why. I have a couple questions here lined up.
I was consumed with
What I'm
that.
going to do is I'm at 275,
Project all day.
225 plus 50. Yeah,
I'll see you in a
275. On the deadlift, I'm going to do 6 trap bar deadlifts. My favorite variation of deadlift because you can turn it into a squat kind of. I just like it a lot. 275 in the deadlift, 6 deadlifts. I'm going to step away. I'm going to change this. I'm going to do 6 squat jumps because that feels really heavy today. And so do I. So 6 squat jumps. Take a few breaths, do 10 push-ups. I like working these things in sequences, kind of combining things together. I'm not doing max or raw strength building, just challenging strength. So 10 push-ups, and then I have a stretch, and that's where I'm going to answer the questions, okay? So cool news, if you're listening to this audio only, you're not going to have to hear me do the deadlifts and the jumps and the push-ups. That would just be me breathing heavily into the microphone in a rhythmic pattern, which not great to listen to, I'm sure. If you're watching on YouTube, you're just going to see the whole thing. I'm just going to keep it all in for simplicity, and we'll get right to it. So don't worry. You don't have to turn this off if you're not worried about hearing me breathe like a crazy person here in a second. But I'm going to get into it, and here we go. So first set of deadlifts, and then jumps and push-ups, and then I'll talk to you when I'm stretching. All right. God. Yep. Out of shape. Okay. Different shape. I'm in different shape. I'm in more of a cardio, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm in different shape. Okay. Let's get to the first question. Angie says, what's it like being a geriatric? I think you can tell it's going pretty fucking good. Going pretty awesome. Feel terrible, look uglier, my future is shorter. Really depressing stuff I just threw out there. Thanks for the question, Angie. Appreciate it. Oh yeah, I'm supposed to be stretching. But I will answer a little more. Am I still in frame? Yeah. It feels okay. I don't feel 40, like I'm going to be 40 necessarily. Some of my body parts do, but I still imagine a 40-year-old looking like way different, right? Like old. Like when I think 40, I think like Kelsey Grammer now. That's what 40 looks like in my skewed warped brain. So I don't know because I'm still kind of a chucklehead and I still screw around like I'm 18 and I work out kind of like a younger athlete, just a little bit slower and takes longer to recover. So I guess it's good being a geriatric. I mean, the one cool thing is sometimes people just give you the benefit of the doubt of knowing more just because you're older. That's been kind of cool. But I've never really gotten too far into, like Katie always does this thing when we go on vacation. She's like, I can't believe we only have 5 days left of this vacation. I've never been like that where I've been like, oh my God, I'm turning 35. That means in 15 years I'll be 50. And in 25 years I'll be 60. Like I never really did that. I just kind of see how I feel day to day and test the waters. So I guess it feels good. If you catch me on the wrong morning, I'll say it feels terrible because my hip will be killing me and my foot hurts and I'm tired and cranky. But I'd say pretty good overall. Being geriatric has been okay. Now I just got to pretend to be young to keep up with Nathan. So hope that answers your question, even though it was a very disrespectful question. All right, I'm going to get back to the second set, and I'll come back with another question. Next one is going to be, what does your perfect day on shift look like? So, BRB, and I'll answer that question as soon as I can't breathe again. Okay. All right, we're back. We're back. Can you hear my heart in the microphone? Hold on. You hear that? My beta blocker is working overtime. All right, so what's a perfect day on shift? Well, man, this is a benefit of asking questions like this because I can't remember what I thought before. I'll tell you that my perfect days on shift would be every call you go out on is quote unquote worth it. There's no good way to say that. There's certainly calls that challenge you more and trainings that challenge you more and engage you. My perfect shift would have all those things. My perfect shift would not be I show up, sleep till I'm hungry and eat till I'm tired, not turn a wheel. That would not be my perfect shift. My perfect shift will be given opportunities to succeed, like challenging opportunities that could go 50-50. And you do a good job. And people tell, each other that they did a good job and tell you did a good job. And everything works out and you're like, wow, that went well. That was challenging and that went well. And part of you feels like I should be stretching. Part of you feels like nervous to say that stuff, right? Because you're like, well, that one went well, but let's not celebrate because you might screw up the next one and look like a real jerk. And don't get too big of a head and don't think you're something special because maybe it was just luck of the draw that something else didn't happen that you would not have done well. There's always that like Catholic guilt side of it, right? The crabs in a bucket kind of deal when you play with yourself. But that would be my perfect shift. I mean, yeah, just having fun, doing your job, doing the job that you like doing. And it doesn't have to be like, people be like, oh, that means a fire or car accident or something like that. I can tell you when I was assigned to the ambulance, I had a lot of really good shifts because we would look back over the course of the day. The day went by quick. I was working with somebody I liked, who was good at their job and was making up for all my deficiencies. And we would sit back and be like, man, every call we went on today, like, I'm glad we went because if we didn't go, that person would have been in real trouble. Or their situation would have been a lot worse. I'm glad when they called when they did because if they waited longer, blah, blah, blah. Those are good days, man. Those are good days when you get to do the job and make a positive impact. And, like, it works out. And it's so nice when stuff works. Stuff works out. You don't have to have meetings and get it rubbed in your nose that you screwed up and wish you would have done better and have regret and all that stuff. It's just nice when stuff goes well. So my perfect day on shift would just be a good day. A good day. It doesn't take much. It doesn't take much to have a good day on shift. I don't even need like fancy meals. I'm not even saying like steak and lobster. I'm saying like, hey, let's have a good crew and have beanies and weenies and run a couple good calls, right? So I don't know. Build your own case for that. Perfect day on shift, but doing your job and doing a good job at it. Sounds pretty perfect to me. All right. Set 3 coming up. I'm doing 4 of these today. So round 3 coming up. I'll be back in a minute. All right, we're back. Oh, I am really not looking forward to editing this with the breath sounds on the YouTube version. So, sorry if this is obnoxious. On YouTube, I'm talking the whole way through. You guys just get the between stuff. With the heavy breathing now, instead of the heavy awkward breathing then, let's go back to the questions. If your kids said they wanted to be firemen, would you talk them out of it? Oh my God. I mean, yeah, the first option is yes. Our first inclination is yes, because I recently had a talk with someone who left the fire service, and his personality exploded in a good way once he made the decision to leave the fire service. And knowing the personality that Nathan has now and Sawyer have now, I don't want anything to mess that up. I don't want anything to affect them in a way that would take away that personality. And I felt that myself. There's so many things I want to say and do and create on here and in general, but I always have to think like, what if my chief hears it? What if the city council hears it? What if I say something stupid inadvertently? And you got to put a damper on a lot of things. So in a lot of the episodes, spoiler alert, inside baseball, I talk about problems we have at our department, but I always frame it as someone else's. And I had to be really careful because obviously, if you work with me, and there's 140 people who work with me, right away you're like, oh, he's talking about where we work. So you still, even then, when you play ghost on second with it, when you shadow it with some other department, you still got to be very smart about it, very diplomatic about it. So, no, I would do my best to make sure they knew all the risks involved, physical and mental. I would do my best to try to figure out what they want to do in the fire service instead of just being a fireman, because we all know the people who are like, they lied to me. They told me I could be a fireman. I've been a paramedic for 12, 15, 20 years. So let me know when I can be a fireman. And then I would try to steer them to a place where they could do that job and be themselves and have a good time and get in a good working environment. I will tell you that I will absolutely tell them places they should not work. And that's tough, because a lot of the places that I would tell people not to work are the places where people want to work, because they're like, quote unquote, aggressive or hardcore or whatever, or they got like this stigma behind them of being like real firemen, blah, blah, blah. But they're idiots and they're dangerous. And it's difficult to step back and be like, that's not cool what they're doing. And it's not even smart, but it looks awesome. So you got to be mature enough to separate those two things. I will absolutely make sure that I influence them as much as possible on where they work, if they want to do that. But there's a lot of different ways to make money. There's a lot of different ways to help people. There's a lot of different ways to feel fulfilled and get excitement. And being a fireman is just one of them. So if they want to do it, we'll talk about it. Right now I would say, yeah, I would talk them out of it. But I don't know. We'll see when that comes, but right now. But it's also tough too, because I work with a lot of smart guys. A lot of smart guys, and their kids are pursuing it. And I'm not one to be like, well, I guess they're not that smart. I'm one to be like, man, they're smart guys, and they're okay with their kids doing it. What am I missing? And they could absolutely have a different path than I did. If I knew that Nathan was going to go through my path, I would tell him not to do it, because, well, I would tell him that in a lot of different circumstances of stuff I did compared to what he would do as a smarter version of me. But yeah, long answer short, I would try to talk him out of it right now. But who knows, man? That's the beauty of kids. I'm learning is you have no idea day to day and minute to minute with Sawyer what they're going to do or think or say or anything else. So scary to think about. Scary to think about for sure, just with everything that the fire service entails now, but we'll see. All right, round 4 coming up. Last round coming up. Last question coming up, then I'm going to wrap it up. I'll probably do some time on the bike while I wait for the electrician to come back. I'll be right back with round 4 of questions. Thanks for hanging out so far. I can't wait to see how this one sounds in editing. Be right back. Okay, we're back. All right. Welcome back. 4th round, last round. All done. One last question. What's one message you have for the newer generation of firefighters? Newer generation of firefighters. My advice to you would be work Find opportunities outside of the job to work with your hands, to swing a hammer, to use a saw, to use an axe, chopping wood, helping frame out people's basements, helping build houses, go volunteer, do manual labor, digging ditches for the forest preserve. It's all unrealistic stuff, I understand, especially digging ditches. If you can meet up with your fellow young people, and say you have a group of 5 or 6 that's all got hired at the same time, one of you guys is going to buy a house or be living somewhere and need to do some remodeling. Invite your friends over. I've had this pile of wood in my side yard from an oak tree we cut down for like a year, and it's ready to be split. I'll be calling the guys in the winter and inviting a handful over at a time and saying, hey, you want to split wood for a day and not drink beer, because you don't do that while the tools are out. Very, very dangerous. But look for opportunities to work with your hands outside the job. Learning how to swing a hammer, use a pry bar, build stuff, a nail gun, a wrench, learning all those basics of tools, they apply directly to the fire service. And if I give you an axe and I say, drive that wedge in, or you have a hammer for some reason, I say, punch a hole in that drywall with a hammer, or I carry a little wrecking bar multi-tool, a little demolition tool for my officer tool. It's got a hammer and a claw at one end, and then a pry bar at the heel where the handle would be. And we've drilled using just that for forcible entry, and that's just a hammer. So if I have an aluminum wedge in this hammer, how do I get through this door with an aluminum wedge and hammer? If you've never swung a hammer before, it makes it that much more difficult. So take advantage of people redoing their deck, of redoing their yard, framing out their basement, whatever they're doing. Invite the people over. If you have one of those projects going on, say, hey, come on over. We're going to be framing out walls. Anybody want to help me? And build your knowledge base that way. Get out. This is like being a multi-sport athlete, right? There's a huge push a while ago for sport specialization in youth. Of like, if you're going to play hockey, you need to play hockey 11 out of 12 months. And baseball is all year round. And football is all year round somehow. But now there's a massive push against that, massive resistance against that, because they looked back and said, all the people who were great athletes, the best athletes in the 90s and early 2000s were multi-sport athletes. In fact, the sport that they went pro in was their secondary sport. There's a number of hockey players that could have been pro baseball players, but they chose hockey. And I know that's the same for other sports as well, right? Diversify your knowledge base. Get out and do some stuff in the real world. Invite your friends over. Invite your crew over for some projects. And that's just one piece of advice. I think that will go a long way. I had a kid out the other day swinging a hammer using my pry bar, my little officer tool, to force a door. And it was like, let's just hit the wood a few times and learn how to swing a hammer first. If you can get that knowledge base of leverage, tools, mechanics, just working with your hands. If you can get that, that's going to narrow the gap. That's going to make you a lot more useful, because it'll shorten your uptake time on a lot of skills for the fire ground. All right. What did you guys think of this? Was this ridiculous? Was this the goofiest thing you've ever seen? Was it worth doing again? I would love to have somebody come over, people come over. If you're in the Chicagoland area and you want to do this, if I work with you and you watch this or listen to this and you want to do this, come on over. I got questions for everybody, man. And we can always open it up to Instagram as well. It's where we got these from today. I hope you guys liked it. Squat ones. Copyright infringement, yes. Fun, yes. But maybe a partnership in the works. Maybe we can eat hot wings and do squats and answer questions. I don't know, Sean. Just tell me what you want to do. All right, thanks for hanging out, guys. Go visit my affiliates, Rescue 1 CBD, Fourth Frontier. Check out Project Fire Buddies. Talk to you soon. Keep on being more capable and durable. On the job and away from it, I got to get on the air dying for half an hour, and talk to you guys soon.